Okay, hi you guys. This is Angie with Beauties and the Bigfoot. And tonight I have an article for you titled Leading Bigfoot Researcher Explains Why a Woman is More Likely to Find a Sasquatch. And this article is by Jesse Phillips. And it is with Mellisa Hovey Larson, president of the American Bigfoot Society and one of the few female cryptozoologist researchers on dealing with internet trolls and maintaining a healthy dose of skepticism in all aspects of life. And this article was from June 6, 2016. Okay, here we go. Says, welcome to Bigfoot. There are more than just believers and skeptics. The world of cryptozoology, the study for creatures whose existence is unconfirmed by science, is a highly political one, full of different fractions and more than a little infighting. For instance, there is the no-kill versus kill debate between the hunter types out to bag a Sasquatch specimen and those who think we should just let the creatures live in peace. There's also the conflict between those out to place Bigfoot in the realm of the paranormal and those who see the animal as one of our biosphere's many undiscovered species. Mellisa Hovey Larson, president of the American Bigfoot Society, was one of only a handful of women researchers when she entered the field in 2005. She has since become one of its most respected voices, guiding expeditions all over the country, appearing on TV shows like Monster Quest, and hosting her own radio show. For her part, Hovey Larson is decidedly in the non-kill and flesh and blood, not paranormal, camp in the raging Bigfoot debates. We spoke to her about dealing with internet trolls, maintaining a healthy dose of skepticism in all aspects of life, and why a woman may be more likely to get closer to a Bigfoot. Broadly, you're president of the American Bigfoot Society. How did that come about, and what does your research entail? Hovey Larson. I formed the group back in 2008 because at the time I was moving from Texas to Ohio, and I wanted a group that was across the whole country so we could network more and discuss different things we were noticing from one area to the next. Before I became a Bigfoot researcher, I was a paralegal and investigator for a public defender. And if you work in the criminal justice system, you look for patterns. As far as I know, I was the first person to go through reports from multiple databases and look for patterns. I thought, if this thing is legit, there would be a pattern to when encounters are happening. Now I can look at a partial report and nail the time of year that it happened. That's what drew me in even further, when I was actually able to see that. The witnesses I like to talk to are the ones who can lose their jobs by talking about something like this, and they're not asking you to do anything but listen to them. They're few and they are far between, but you come across them from time to time, and they make you step back and think. I've talked to people in politics, police officers, firefighters. It really spans the gamut. Where did your interest in Bigfoot begin? It started when I was really young, on those scholastic bookmobiles I used to buy the books about scary stuff. I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if something like that actually existed out there? After I moved to Texas, I heard about the Texas Bigfoot Research Center, And because of my background of talking to witnesses and victims of crime, I thought it could be useful. It's hard for someone who doesn't have experience to weed out the truth from the made-up stuff. How do you know someone's telling the truth about a sighting? I use your basic tactics. You repeat the story back to them and change up one or two things and see if they correct you. You can tell by body language. My favorite reports are from kids because kids have a really hard time lying. They can do it and they like to do it, but they're not good at it. You can always tell when a child is lying to you. But when you get that kid that's telling the truth, their reaction is either pure awe or complete fear. As an investigator, it's my job to find out what people saw. I don't take anything at face value. What's the most compelling report you have received? It was a report out of Texas. A boy was in a car with some friends coming home from a party, and the boy sees this white Bigfoot out in the field and jumps out of the car and starts chasing it. The Bigfoot makes it to a fence line and clears the fence with one step. The boy, on the other hand, makes it to the fence, starts to climb it, and the Bigfoot is still standing there. It turns around, grabs him by the shoulders, and tosses him back on the ground. His parents actually filed a police report. Even though the animal could have killed him in an instant, it basically puts him down and said, "No further." That one really stands out in my head as a good example of something that could have gone ugly, but didn't. If this animal's out there, there has to be a level of intelligence that we're dealing with. This also makes it equally hard to find them and prove they are there. Do you like the popularity of shows like Finding Bigfoot and Monster Quest have positively or negatively affected your work? I think in some ways it helped to get people to come forward. It's made it a little bit more mainstream, but it has made it even harder to distinguish the people who are telling the truth. They can give you the keywords the average researcher is looking for to try and hoax you. We put way too much information out there. That's why I don't talk about publicly a lot of the things that I have discovered over the years. What is the closest contact you have made to Bigfoot? I haven't actually seen the animal yet, but I have had very interesting things happen. One that made me wonder what the hell I was doing out there because it scared the living crap out of me. It was in 2010 in Virginia. I was actually in the middle of a live radio interview, and I was down by this man-made pond. It was really dark, and I turned around to go back to base camp. I could see a fishing lure reflecting the light in a little bush, and above that were these two glowing eyes. I could not believe what I was seeing, and the skeptic in me, realizing I was in the middle of a phone interview for a radio program, did not want to shout out, "You won't believe what I am looking at right now." But I could stand and watch as the two eyes moved in unison. I called it the woman in the dark alley syndrome. You know, when you're being looked at? When we finally figured out the measurement of what I had seen, it matched up to what the owner of the property had said, that it was a creature between 7 and 7.5 feet tall. I was about 100 yards from it, so I can't really say it was Bigfoot. I don't know, but those were some big eyes. I have never seen anything like that before or since. Another time, my husband and I were down in Salt Fork State Park in Ohio. We were in a tent and he was recording. And all of a sudden, we could hear something really heavy walk across the little road. We listened to this thing as it walked into camp, and we could hear it breathing. My first concern was that it was a bear. It went over to our vehicle and pulled on all 4 of our door handles. The only bears in Salt Fork are black bear. And black bear do not have retractable claws. So if it had been a black bear pulling on our door handle, we would have had marks. There were no marks on our car. Whatever it was really big and had really deep, chesty breathing. We had a bear expert listen to the audio, and he said it was not a bear. We've gotten recordings like that now from 2 different locations in Ohio. These are the 2 times I thought to myself, if this is what we think it is, we are playing with fire. This tends to be a male-dominated field and interest. Why do you think that is, and is it changing? It was heavily male-dominated when I first got involved back in 2005. You could count the seriously active female field researchers on 2 hands. As women, they didn't really care what you had to say, and probably in some groups they still don't. But I, along with a friend of mine, were very vocal about the necessity of having more women involved. Look at what Jane Goodall did. And that was only because she was able to get closer to them than her boss. We have a more nurturing spirit, and I think animals, primates in particular, pick up on that. Does being a woman in the field present any particular challenges or have advantages? For me personally, it was a particular challenge because I'm used to having to try to prove myself. If you're a woman, sooner or later you're going to find yourself challenged by men. I was raised on a farm, and if I get it in my head to do something, I'm going to do it. If you're a woman, there's just some level of having to prove yourself that you're capable. Women have a lot to offer the research in general. It doesn't have to be primarily men running the show because men hunt. I get that a lot. I had one guy write a blog about me saying I should be out shopping and buying purses. I was like, maybe that's what makes your wife happy, but I like to challenge myself. Have you ever had to deal with a lot of sexist attacks online? I can't even keep track of them all. I have a very thick skin. I mean, if this is the way they want to talk to their wives or the women in their world, that's their business. But I don't put up with that crap. There are still those men in the community who are online basically to start trouble. They get a kick out of typical Neanderthal behavior. But I will tell you, I have quite a few male friends that I share information with, and they respect me, and I respect the hell out of them. They're hard-working guys who just want an answer to a mystery. Those are the people that I work with, who are not involved in politics, but simply want answers to the mystery. What advice would you have for an amateur interested in catching a glimpse of Bigfoot? The best advice I have to give is to bring a healthy dose of common sense. Don't just jump in with the first group of researchers you find on the internet because they seem to know everything. We don't really know anything at all. We only have bits and pieces of a huge puzzle. And that was the end of her interview. And that was a great interview. I enjoy reading about what women think on the topic and how the women researchers are expanding the field. I think it's fascinating. All right, you guys, I will try to find more women-based story for you guys, and we will talk to you with another article next week. And in the meantime, I do post shorts almost every day, so check them out because those are literally my boots on the ground film that I videotape on my phone. All right, you guys, have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.